Welcome to In the Studio on Davis Media Access. I'm Tim Gaffany. Well, tucked into an area at the east end of the UCD Arboretum, adjacent to the Solano Park Apartments, is the Third Space Art Collective. This collective, quote, facilitates the display and performance of all artistic disciplines by providing to the community space, knowledge, and the tools necessary to create. Well, we're lucky today to have with us Jord Nelson. He is the collective president and executive director. Jord is himself a sculptor. He studied under Paul Bruckner at the University of Oregon, graduating with a BFA in 1995. He worked as a sole proprietor contractor for 10 years before suffering a brainstem stroke as a result of a construction accident. And in 2015, Third Space gave him a platform to re engage in his first career love, I should say, as he has said, the arts. He is interested in helping others form the creative class and helping others from the creative class do the same as he has done. Jord, pardon me, welcome to In the Studio.
Thanks, Tim. It's nice to be here.
Well, could you start off by explaining the name of your collective? What is this concept of a third space and how does it apply to this venue in particular?
Yeah. So third space theory is something of an older theory. It's been around since the beginning of the 20th century. It's really rooted in sort of a post-colonial social political engagement. A third space. They have, third spaces are in many parts of our life. Uh, it has given a platform to the voice of the people to re-identify themselves, to reimagine themselves, and to come together and interact. So that's sort of the basic idea of a third space. For us, for the creative arts, third space speaks to a place where artists can come and interact, exchange ideas, help each other, support each other. Um, in that notion, like in art, we all are navigating this post-colonial world. That's what that's what we're living in. And for the creative class, it's a little bit of a struggle because we don't fit in quite so neatly into sort of our capitalist structure. And so the idea is that there are three spaces in our lives in this post-colonial world. Each of us have a family. That's our family life is the first space. Our second space is our work life, and that's where we generate income. And then there's this third space, which is a space where you can express your creative self and sort of your true nature.
So, what was the impetus then? I think this could probably be inferred from a lot of what you said, but why in Davis there? What now? Why does Davis in particular need an arts focused third space?
I think every place needs an arts focused third space. Arts are an important cultural component. They help describe your community. They bring a richness and connection and purpose to communities. So I think every community needs a third space.
Mhm.
And
Is there something distinctive about the Davis community that makes this third space any different
well, there is a
than a
history here. I mean,
community would be? Mhm.
yeah, I mean, in 1958, Richard Nelson established the art department at the University of Davis, right? And it kind of he was just given the task of setting up an art department. So out of thin air, he just he went out and recruited the artists that he wanted to create his art department, And so there's a history here, and that grew into the funk art, movement. And Wayne Thibodeau is from that. Arneson is from that crew. So there's some big names, people in the art world who had an effect on the world. And there are a lot of people still in Davis who studied with them, who know them. Um, you know, so it's very much alive in terms of the arts. In this community, housing is really difficult for the creative class. It's very expensive to
Mhm.
rent here, to own here, to live here. But because of the university, and I think the fertile sort of creative space here, you know, a lot of people from the creative class are drawn to this area. So
Right, right. Okay.
it's really important to have a space to access, that
Right.
cultivates the community.
That's great. Well, let's talk a little bit more in particular about what the art space, third space, can offer. Then, I understand, for example, that it does support the community in at least a couple of general ways. I mean, one is that it does provide a space for individual artists to do their work, but that it also
Mhm,
is a space for events, celebrating group artwork, and also presenting that artwork to the
mhm.
community. So I was wondering if in the first place you could say something about art space, third space as a place for individuals to do their work.
Yeah, we have a facility that, once it's up and running, we're still going through some facility upgrades to be able to open the doors completely to individual artists. But they can come in if you pay your membership. We're asking $65 a year to access the space. But once you become a member, you can come in. You can work on your projects during time. You can't have 24/7 access at this particular facility that we have now, like we did in the past. But you can come in, you can work on your projects. There are art supplies available. One of our board members, Sedona Patterson, is setting up a free arts supply closet. So if you're there working on your project and you run out of acrylic paint, and you're like, well, geez, I need some green to finish up this painting, you can check out the free art supply closet. um yeah, so in terms of an individual, there's that functionality, but it's also important as creative uh, individuals to have feedback and interaction with other creative artists. I've been a part of Third Space since 2015. I was at the
Mhm.
previous location. And for one, being a person with a disability, it was really nice to be in a space where it's like I could say, hey, can you help me move this log over there?
Yeah.
Real, real basic things. But more importantly for me as an artist, to develop as an artist, I really valued the interaction I had with not just other sculptors. In fact, I was one of the few sculptors at the old space. But I loved my interactions with the videographers, the painters, the guy working on leather. They had some valuable, input or insight into what I was up to. So that helped me grow as an artist as well. And I think that's invaluable. So as an individual, uh, pursuing your craft or your art, it's always important to connect with others of the same ilk.
Yeah. And then what about the events? Could you say something about different events that Third Space hosts or has hosted?
Yeah, at the old space, we were there from 2013 to 2017. But there were that was a little bit more of an format where we could have concerts, workshops, host gallery shows, and just have community workspace. Um, and so that was a real important way to engage with the community, to be able to have events. People love going to an art space and being involved. Um, Last year, we did an event at the new location, and we had a fellow, Will Durkee, come, and he was doing a project that was funded by the city of Davis. It was called Hearts of Davis, and so he was set up, and people could come and just paint hearts. We had another fellow doing some screen printing, and people could have a custom screen print shirt, and we had a little bit of music playing. It was a real festive atmosphere, and people were really engaged with the idea of like a vibrant arts hub to be a part of.
That's wonderful. I was just thinking about that line in your biography about helping the creative class in Davis. And I was wondering if you could say anything about how your own work as a sculptor has been impacted by helping others through your stewardship of the Arts Collective.
Well, I'm not as productive with my artwork, but I also feel like my art is about understanding my purpose. And part of my purpose right now is to help others have a place to be a part of, have a community. And I think that's really important for us humans. We're social creatures, and so often an artist is sort of stuck on their dining room table or in their backyard, or it's like um, it can be a lonely road. And so I take a lot of joy in seeing other people succeed, and be able to express themselves, and be able to have room to explore themselves, and the meaning of their art, and how that fits into this larger process that we humans are going through. It's not an easy life. And I want to say too, the creative class, in my mind, it spans all sort of economic classes. And that's kind of the beauty of art. Anybody from any socioeconomic background can talk art with another person from a different socioeconomic background. So it's a real unifying component to our lives.
Well, you've talked a little bit about the history of third space, that you're now in the second third space. But I also understand you're looking for a more permanent home. Is that correct? And if so, can you say something more about that? What you're looking for, and what are some of the challenges you're facing in trying to make this happen?
The biggest challenge is finding an affordable rent. Arts do not generate a whole lot of money in the scheme of things. In terms of funding, it takes a real persistence to support a project of this nature. So rents are very high around Davis. There's not much available in terms of a warehouse facility or some kind of facility that allows for getting a little dirty, uh, you know, dropping paint on the floor. So that's been a challenge. So we looking into the future, we're contemplating two routes. One is to really go more at the city of Davis, the arts and culture component of the city of Davis, and see if we can't wrestle up a city facility that we can at least partially house. We could have events there a little more easily, maybe a gallery space and some workshops. That's one route, and that if we can have a convincing argument for the city, that's uh, valuable to the culture of Davis, then that'll save us some fundraising time. The other approach is to do a capital campaign. So we are an established 501c3, which opens up the doors to bigger donations. And the seed money that we're working off of right now does come from some bigger donations, in the neighborhood of 10,000 each, and then a smaller donation from another person. But it's sort of laying the groundwork in our space now. We're sort of treating it as a prototype space where we need to establish that there is a demand for this in this community, and it's a worthy investment. So it's a challenge. I mean, you have to sell a vision to a degree, but we have at least a facility. It's not perfect, but rarely do you find perfection when you're trying to do a grassroots sort of people-based effort like this. But hopefully people will see the value in it, and word will get out, and we can start, asking for bigger donations to keep us going.
And I should add that in the spring, my wife and I enjoyed your venue very much at one of the Friday art abouts, and it was just a nice part of that whole environment on those Friday evenings. It's very nice.
Yeah, thank you. That was a special evening. Actually, it was my own personal show. I had my own sculptures up, as you
Hmm.
remember, and I had an event with my father, and my father turned 80, and he rarely shows his artwork. So I that was my birthday present to him, and it was really well attended. It was fun because your son Ian played with my son Ezra, and they gave a nice that added a nice quality to the atmosphere that a lot of people really enjoyed their playing too. So yeah, I mean, that's
Good.
what Third Space can offer is sort of this confluence of backgrounds and people and energy that it's about art, and it's about living, it's about struggles, and it's about celebration of overcoming too. So
Great. Well, Jord, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about Third Space Art Collective, and thank you so much for the work you've put in to make it all happen. The
yeah,
space we've been talking about, yeah.
yeah,
The
thank you so
The
much.
space we've been talking about is, as we said, located at the east end, near the east end of the UC Davis Arboretum.
Yeah,
For more information, you can visit the website, which I believe is thirdspacedAvis.org. And I think that
yes,
may be on the screen below you. So again, Jord, thank you so much. And I'm Tim Gaffney. You've been watching In the Studio on Davis Media Access.
thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate it.